Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio, audio, no pictures. Listen to this in your car or truck live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the role and influence of taxpayer funded bodies and NGOs, which are really indirectly taxpayer funded anyway, activist NGOs, in ginning up supposed racial and religious confrontation, sowing social division, claiming grievances exist where they don't exist, and just generally trying to gin it up. Now, I'll talk about it. There's one recently, and I'll come back to that, but I want to talk about the overall architecture of this. This is a case where somebody from a minority group, could be a minority in any sense, really, like they're a lesbian or they're black or they're I don't know, Arabic, Islamic, they're a recent migrant to the West and so on, to assume that they have sacrosanct human rights on a grand scale, and that if there's even the slightest infringement by a straight white person or a straight white institution of some sort, there's even the slightest infringement on the largely imagined rights, supposed rights of the minority person, then it is a matter for crescendo levels of intervention, crescendo levels of drama, wall-to-wall media coverage, and hysteria all around. So now, if it's a big issue, like I don't know, a black person, for example, a black person is denied all employment, they're denied equality before the law, they're denied any medical care solely because they're black or they're gay or something like that. Then that would be a case, whether or not it would be crescendo level or something, we could debate, but there would be a case where their human rights have been flagrantly, assuming that's proven by the way, human rights have been flagrantly ignored or trampled upon, and that they are entitled to some sort of recognition of that unfair treatment, and should it be necessary, some sort of immediate restitution and so on. But also the policies or laws governing the behaviour of the bodies or the people that had inflicted this injustice upon them should be adjudicated upon, changed and modified and so on. So that those cases would be. Now, but that's not the cases that we see. That sort of level of supposed bigotry and racism, you'd really be hard pushed to find. I certainly don't come across, unless it's against white people. I certainly don't come across it or see it or observe it or aware of it, nor have I ever been. And I'm getting on. Like my next birthday, I'll be 61. So I've been around long enough to know, long enough to see it. If it is happening, I'm not noticing it. People say it exists, and then when they come up with examples of its supposed existence, then I think, wow, that is a micro example. Nonetheless, let's have a look at a few here. Now, what we're talking about is an incident so small and so irrelevant that it could be dealt with, assuming it needs dealing with at all. It could be dealt with very easily and very quickly, and that would be the end of the matter. But that's not it. That's not what's happening here. There is a whole industry now that if you come from a minority group, come to us and we will turn this into a crescendo issue. No matter how small, no matter how irrelevant, no matter how tiny, you come to us and we will gin this up to the fucking max. And we'll have national headlines, international headlines, and so on. So here's one example. This is a college. Now, the college has student computer rooms and facilities rooms and so on. One of the facilities rooms had been arbitrarily declared that it was a black-only room. Why? Because black people were supposedly suffering the most heinous discrimination. No proof or evidence needed. Absolutely zero, ground level, low bar type requirement to prove it. But it hadn't been formalised at this point, so had been declared, the day before. Now, one of the employees in this, like the administrative section of these computer rooms, was keeping an eagle eye on this black room just to make sure white students didn't come in. And she was getting off on the idea if any white student coming in, she could go up to them and with full righteous indignation demand that they leave. This is a black only space. You evil fucking Nazi Hitler, whitey, you get out of here. So now the white students that are, are by far and away the majority in this college, they say, well, hey, there's no sign here. Where's the public declaration that this is a black only? Why should there be black only rooms? What are we going to have, white only rooms or brown only rooms? Like what's going on here? These students quite legitimately asked, but this was interpreted, well, you're now racist to me because I'm black, says the attendant who's deliberately gone in looking for confrontation and gone in looking for drama. She's, well, you've just been racist to me. I'm now so stressed and so upset and so that I have to take special sick leave because of my psychological state. Now, when the incident occurs, this woman who's an activist, she's not an employee there, she's just an activist. Why employ an activist when this is going to be the likely consequences of employing? So it's very flawed employment policy by the college. You probably thought they were being very progressive. Hey, look, we're employing a black woman. I don't know if she's a lesbian or not, but now she then goes to her, the NGO that, if you like, supports this particular black group, and of course they're shot through with activists, and they say, hey, this is a great opportunity for us to get some publicity, great opportunity for us to claim victimhood, great opportunity to stick it up whitey, let's go for it. And they're all taxpayer funded. No one's saying, hey, hold on a minute. No harm's been done to anybody. There was no sign up in the room. There hadn't been, properly sort of put in place yet. These students pay their fees. They quite legitimately can say, hey, these are college assets. We're college students. We paid our fees. We should have access to them like anyone else. But no, instead of sorting it out like that and telling this black woman to just grow up and stop behaving like a silly victim idiot, instead of doing that, no, this is a great launch pad for us to stir something up and create all sorts of drama, which they did. Now, not only that was this NGO. Again, it's all taxpayer. Well, firstly, a government group, taxpayer fund, then going to an NGO. Not only, I remember all being paid by the taxpayer here. So these people are being paid to hate white people in the name of social justice or something. I unravel that one if you can. Then they go to and they get another government institution, which is a human rights group. They claim they're protecting the human rights of the oppressed or the human rights. They're there to protect human rights. They're not necessarily, they have no charter, as in direct charter to just protect black lesbians or something. It's supposed to be any human rights that are being trampled upon. But they have the ideological position that if you're straight and white, it's impossible for your rights to be trampled upon. Impossible. It can't happen. Just doesn't happen. But if you're a black lesbian, then whoa, we're here to fight for you. So it's very ideological. They begin from an extremely prejudicial position that only this or that group can have their human rights trampled upon, and therefore they're the only ones that should be supported. And the very low bar they have is, it's the lowest of the low bars as to what constitutes. So anyway, the taxpayer funded human rights group takes it up and says, well, yes, this woman is justified. So this woman, I don't know, she personally makes something, well over $100,000 in personal payments and benefits handed to her, and the lives of the white students that tried to use facilities room were close to ruined as a consequence, and a very, very one-sided, very, in my view, very prejudicial process that will attack only white people. So now there's another recent one where a very, very progressive leftist media organisation employed, I think, as I understand it, as an intern, a young Arab woman, and she has been create the Arabic NGOs have sort of tried to build her up as a real social media sort of presence. She speaks for us, and she's of course a leftist activist and so on. And Arabic and Islamic issues, that sort of stuff. She's given an intern job, and because she's such a prominent, has been built up by the NGOs. I don't think she'd have a single follower if the Arabic NGOs hadn't built her up, because she's good for spreading social division. This media organisation decided that it would be a real sop to this activist community if they employed her as an intern. So they gave, this is my understanding at least, so they gave her an intern's gig, like, I don't know, a few hours a week or something, and but it's something she can put on a CV and go, hey, look at me, I'm a media personality or something. So it just gives her more cred and so on. So anyway, she does that. Then they have a vacancy. Somebody goes on leave or whatever it was. They have a vacancy on one of their third or fourth tier media programs, not frontline stuff. So they say to her, would you like to do this? I think it's an hour a week or something, or an hour a day, maybe. Hour a day, I think it was. And we'll pay you for it. So she, oh, yeah, okay. Now, from her perspective, but again, as I understand it, at least, she sees this as a real launch pad to go nuclear on the activism, and starts making social media posts to that effect. This is discovered, so the media organisation, who by the way is quite tolerant of activism, says, hey, this is going a bit too far. Look, don't worry about, she's done like a few of the, again, fourth tier show, like it's not like she's got some massive audience, but the idea that she's got this gig is really seized upon by the activists and the NGOs as, look, we've now got another voice in the mainstream and that sort of thing, which would have excited them, and she would have been ginned up. Here's another opportunity to push our activism and push our propaganda, which she does, and so they say to her, well, don't worry about the rest of the like this. She's got like another 1 or 2 hours left to go, so it's not like it's a big deal either way. But just to sort of try and make it all sweet, the media organisation says, look, we'll pay you anyway, even though we don't need you to do it. So no big deal. This is the end of it. I mean, surely, as anybody, but no, the activist NGOs come screaming into the gap. They then go screaming to the human rights groups, all taxpayer funded and tax exempt, and they take up the case. So this is a non-case. It's a non-issue. It's nothing. Yet just about every human rights and activist NGO group in this brown people space come screaming in. They're hurtling in like an out of control freight train. They're determined to grab this and gin it up into something really fucking big. There's no aggrieved party that I can detect here, but or the idiots that employed her maybe, but or gave her this very, it's a gift. They gave her a fucking gift, and but nonetheless, this turned into a huge human rights issue. Not only that, the NGOs and the various activists have actually managed to take the matter to the Supreme Court. So, on the basis it's a human rights issue. Now, the Supreme Court's got the option of throwing it out, saying this is not a fucking human right. You NGOs and you human rights activists, you're just a bunch of fucking time wasters. Now, I'm adding up just the, this is over hurt feelings. It's not over somebody was shortchanged or they weren't paid or they, something. There's nothing at all. There's an activist was given an intern gig, then got the opportunity to make a few bucks. That was it. No big deal either way. But instead, the matter is now going to, was in the Supreme Court to be decided by by the court. Yet I can't see or find an aggrieved party here. But look, in this situation we're in, it doesn't matter. The issue is creating and inventing and fomenting and fabricating race conflict and I suppose to some extent religious conflict here, and that's the issue. And so now, if you calculate how much money's been spent in legal expenses, again, taxpayer funded legal expenses, and assuming it does finally, which it's slated to be heard, and okay, maybe it's going to last there for a few days, I don't know. We're talking legal fees in the hundreds of thousands of dollars because a young brown woman is grabbed hold of by the activist groups and used as a pawn to push, race hustling in a Western country. And yet our institutions, our organisations, taxpayer-funded bodies, we're all allowing this to happen. And indeed, there are large sections of the media that are cheering it on. This brown woman's fighting back against Hitler. And this is really the nonsense we're supposed to believe. But while we have so many of the Western institutions aggressively acting against, straight white people and aggressively trying to foment social division and drama, and really now it's you don't even have to do anything that could be legally construed as bigoted. All you got to do is hurt some frail little girlie's feelings, and the matter goes to the fucking Supreme Court, for goodness sakes. You've been a Tassus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.